Hi, everyone. Welcome to Community and Seeds. I'm Jeff Quattrone, and I will be moderating it today. We're here today with some great people that will be sharing some information about how to start a seed library, and we're also going to be hearing from some of our friends in Africa to talk about community seed programs there. Starting out today, we have Keith Monahan. Keith is the president of the Horticultural Society of South Jersey, the co-founder of the South Jersey Circle Seed Library, and serves on the advisory council for the Community Seed Network. He is a fierce advocate of seed saving and for food sovereignty. He works with various community groups, municipalities, and other government organizations to create opportunities for people who strengthen their food choices, and his pronouns are he and him. We have Janine Sheffert, she and her. As education manager at Seed Savers Exchange, Janine oversees the education and engagement department and projects such as the Community Seed Network, the Exchange, Seed Census, Nursery Trade Census, events, workshops, tours, volunteer programs, internship programs, resiliency gardens, education video projects, Speakers Bureau, and Herman's Garden Seed Donation Program. Bevan Cohen is an author, herbalist, seed saver, and the owner of Small House Farms in Michigan. Cohen often offers workshops and lectures across the country on the benefits of living closer to the land through seeds, herbs, and locally grown food, and has published numerous works on these topics, including the best-selling book, Saving Our Seeds, and his highly anticipated new book, The Artisan Herbalist. He serves on the board of the International Herbs Association, the Advisory Council for the Community Seed Network, and is a founding member of the Michigan Seed Library. Alphys Masanga is a trainer in biodiversity conservation at Slow Food Kenya. He's the coordinator of Slow Food Youth Network in Kenya, and the communication person for Slow Food Youth Network Africa. At Slow Food Kenya, we safeguard genetic materials through on-farm seed saving, community seed libraries, and field gene banks for agro-biodiversity conservation. This practice ensures production of crops adapted to a certain environment. Melissa Blatt is, Melissa lives in Johannesburg, South Africa, working as an architect. She balances this life by working in her backyard food gardening, focusing on the collection, propagation, and sharing of rare South African heirloom food seeds. She is the coordinator of Slow Food Ark of Taste Committee of South Africa and the coordinator of the Rainbow Maize Revival Community of South Africa, a slow food presidium project. So welcome to everybody here. We're going to start with Keith, and we're going to do kind of a rapid session here to get as much information as we can with the great work that people do here. So if I can please ask the other panelists to leave now, and then I will call you back, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Hey, Keith.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for the work that you do with Community Seed Network.
Looks like
it looks like maybe Jeff just has some issues, but Keith, why don't you take it away? let's go for it. Thank you for being here, and I'm sure Jeff will get back in.
We'll hop back on. Yeah, I know he had some questions for me, so I'm going to share with you Community Seed Network website. Just give me a second. That was weird. All right, so this is the website for Community Seed Network.
Sorry about that. Somehow I got
okay.
But welcome, Keith. So thanks for sharing the website there.
So I have the website up, and so you have questions that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so what would be, let me get this into the chat for you. What would be the first step in starting a seed library?
Research is basically the first step in anything, or I guess getting the idea that you even want to start a seed library. I know for the South Jersey Seed Circle Library, that's it came out of another nonprofit that I work for, and our membership had asked for it. So leadership came together and we decided that, yeah, let's start a seed library. How do we go about doing that? And I was fortunate enough that we actually were able to reach out to Jeff, and who helped us with our seed library. But there are now lots of other resources that I wasn't aware of when I started. Community Seed Network is a really good starting spot. And so this is the website for Community Seed Network. And I'm on the advisory council there, so I would be remiss if I didn't point it out. But there are a lot of good resources here for starting a seed library. So this is the homepage. Community Seed Network started out as a collaboration between Seed Savers in the United States and USC, which is in Canada. So it's a international organization. But if you want to learn how to start a seed library, I would come here, and there you can click on Learn, which I have open. And so there are organizational resources underneath Learn. So there's saving seed resources and organizational best practices. So under organizational resources, you'll see what is a seed library, checkout procedures, disclaimers, and seed returns. These are all really good resources for someone to, if you don't know anything about seed libraries, to kind of research this before you step into creating your own seed library. And then there's also seed saving resources for how to save seeds. So that's another thing too. If you don't have any background or any experience in saving seed, this is a good place to come and to learn the different aspects of seed saving.
Yes, when I first started thinking about how this session would be structured, the first place I thought of was the Community Seed Network, because it has such a depth of resources there, and you can find a lot of great information there, as you were saying, on both seed saving and community seed programs, which is a good complement to each other. What are the challenges that someone should expect when it comes to setting up a seed library?
There could be all sorts of challenges. I know for us, one of the things that we try to do is to see if we could get our local library to host the library itself. But they were concerned about liability issues, which seems to be the case for governmental organizations. And there are organizational resources, disclaimers for seed libraries, and different things that are good for helping to bridge that gap of knowledge between what governmental organizations know and what you're trying to accomplish. You might not have enough the word I'm looking for, enough people involved with it could be a potential fallback. Like if you're doing it yourself, it could get really exhausting if you're the only one doing it. So you want to make sure that you involve the community. Those could be some potential negatives or setbacks that you could experience.
Are the disclaimers that you mentioned, are they on your website, on the Community Seed Network website?
They are. So if you can see my screen right now, it says disclaimer for seed libraries, and and then you just click it, and it's a file that you can use. And let's see if it'll open. It's just a Word document that you can use to put on any of the literature that you're creating. I don't know. There you go. So if you can see, it says, hey there, you should know by now that we share seed grown by community members with love and care like our ancestors have done for thousands of years. It may not meet state germination or labeling standards. So this is a disclaimer that you can use to kind of get around that. Because that's one thing, we're for seed libraries, we're not seed growing companies. So we're not here to make profit off of this. We're here to share the seed with our community. So we, depending on the state that you're in, there you don't have to meet the criteria that seed companies would have to that are selling your seed. So you won't have to worry about meeting germination or labeling standards.
Okay, good question here. We jumped right into setting up seed library, but we didn't talk about the basics of how seed library works. So if you can just give us a brief discussion overview of that, that would be great.
So the way our seed library works, South Jersey Seed Circle Library, is so we host monthly events, and we have seed available for people to come. And we got lots of donations for the seed. And I believe Janine will talk a little bit about that later, so I'll let her do that. But the way it works for us is we have seed, we take the seed and we put them into smaller packages. We do have some label and stuff and some information for it. So people will come, they'll take the seed, we encourage them to grow it out, and then at the end of the season, we encourage people to save seed, especially from the really easy crops like tomatoes, lettuce, and beans, and tend to return some of them to us so that we can continue and further on the seed library.
Thank you. And just to, as you were saying, if you're trying to do this yourself, it can be very exhausting. I know that from experience. So it does help if you can get some people in the local community to join you. And just one more thing that I'd like to add about returning seeds back. Some libraries, these programs are meant for the libraries to enhance their programming and their role as community centers these days. And I know some of the libraries that I work with, they don't have the staff or the budget to process seeds being returned back. So you may find that if you have seed library in your area, that they may not be in a position to return seeds back. Okay, so for a seed library, does it have to be do you think it has to be at a public library?
No, it doesn't. It can be in any community space. Our nonprofit does lots of tabling events. We do a lot of outreach. And so we're actually able to bring our seed library to those tabling events and do the outreach there and give seeds away. You could also do, so in one of the local communities in South Jersey, their seed library is really neat. It's literally like those little libraries that are up around the country, or those like, basically it's a little box with books in it. Someone has one of them in front of their house, and they have little yogurt jars with the seeds in them and little envelopes for people to take seeds, and then writing utensils for them to write. That's how their seed library works. It's just on someone's front lawn, and they come and they take the seed that they want. And then there's also a bin for people to return seed, or if they have extra seed from packets that they could put in there. So that's a really simple way to do a seed library. Yeah,
there's lots of ways that you can do it. Public libraries seem to be the first step in it. One good reason for them is that there's a library. So that's helpful from a distribution point of view, and offering free and open access to as many people as we possibly can. Okay, so COVID-19. That's a good question. So what has your experience been with COVID-19 and the operation of seed libraries?
So for us specifically, it has put a damper on things because we can't meet in public places to do the way our library currently works. But the example that I just gave about this like little free library that someone does with seeds, it's completely contactless. So everything is set up, and there's also Purell and hand sanitizer, those type of things there. So there's no interaction with anyone else. It's just you go and you collect, or you go and you drop off. It's also a plant stand as well, so people exchange cuttings and plants and extra stuff. So it's a really neat little free library that's all based around plants and seeds.
Okay, great. So we're going to move on to, excuse me, talking about donations now. So Janine, if you could share your audio, we'll bring you back in. Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
So I understand you have a presentation to share with us today.
I do. If I can share my screen here. Okay, are you seeing that?
Yes.
When I click that, do you see my notes come up, or do you still see the?
No, we don't see your notes.
All right. So let me tell you about our seed donation program.
Okay, I'm going to leave so that you have more of a screen here, and then I'll be right back to talk.
Great. So I am going to tell you about the Herman's Garden Seed Donation Program, which is the Seed Savers Exchange donation program. Many organizations and companies who sell seeds also have a seed donation program, and this is ours. In case you don't already know about Seed Savers already, we're a nonprofit and we aim to steward seeds for present and future generations. And we do this via our seed bank and regeneration efforts. And we also work to connect to other seed stewards and potential seed stewards via education and engagement and sharing of heirloom seeds, plants, and stories. And one of the ways we do this is through selling seeds. You may recognize our seed catalog pictured here. Each year we come out with a seed catalog with about 600 varieties listed for sale, and we sell these seeds throughout the US, Canada, and elsewhere. We sell them via our catalog, our website, and also garden centers and stores across the US and a few in Canada. You can see our garden center picture there in the top middle of this slide. And one of the things that we have to do in order to sell these seeds is to get them germination tested for the year. As you can see on this Feaster Family Heirloom Mustard packet, circled in red there, it's saying that this seed packet was packed for the year 2020. And after October 31st of 2020, we no longer can legally sell it, but it's still a package of really good, viable seeds. So at this point, these seeds, anything that we didn't sell and anything that garden centers across the US and Canada didn't sell, we buy them back, and that becomes part of our donation inventory. And so we have volunteers who sort through these seeds and put them into donation kits. Each donation kit includes 50 seed packets with a variety of crop types, and we have them available for donation. Any nonprofit or school, seed library, community gardens, educational programs can apply for this. You do need to have a US address. We can't ship outside the US, unfortunately. But anyone with a US address who will freely share the seeds and freely share the resulting produce can qualify for these seed donations. Each year we hear back from lots of different schools, community organizations, and seed libraries. Last year we sent over 60,000 seed packets out to community groups like this. So it's really fun to hear what kind of projects people are creating with these seeds. And that includes seed libraries. So we invite you, if you're starting a seed library or if you're maintaining a seed library, these donations are available. We really want them to get into people's hands. They're great seeds, and so if you could use them, please apply. The link there is seedsavers.org, seed donation program. And you can apply for this every year. So once a year, you would qualify for a new seed donation if you are interested. I'm going to stop sharing here.
Okay, that was great. Thank you. That's a wonderful program, and I recommend it to all the seed libraries that I work with, and they really appreciate having the knowledge that comes with seed packets as well as, you know. So, are there a couple questions that I get from the libraries when I tell them about that? They ask them, are they only heirloom or open pollinated seeds? Are there hybrids?
Yeah, good question.
About that?
Yeah, for our donation program and anything that Seed Savers sells anything in our collection, they're all open pollinated seeds. So that means if you plant them and you make sure they don't cross with anything else, you'll get that same variety when you save the seeds. With open pollinated seeds, you can always save the seeds from those varieties. The question of whether they're heirloom or not really depends on your definition of heirloom. And that can be so different from organization to organization, person to person. The definition that we work with at Seed Savers for our collection, we have a few different kinds of heirlooms, but generally speaking, a really broad sense, in order to call something heirloom, we would need documentation that it has been passed along generation to generation, one way or another, whether it's in a family or community. I won't get into all of that, but by our definition, I would say maybe a third to a half of the seeds that we sell fit into that definition of heirloom, but all of them are open pollinated. So you can save seeds from all of them.
Great. Are they only vegetable seeds?
No, they are a majority vegetable seeds, but you would also get flower seeds and you would also get herbs.
Okay. Is it possible to request only organic seeds?
Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to ensure that they'll all be organic seeds. We do sell both organic and conventional seeds. Anything that we grow here at Seed Savers is organic, and we have a preference when we're, finding contract growers. We have a preference for organic, but we don't always get that, and so we don't have a way of actually separating that out once we have these seeds returned. So you likely will get some seeds that are conventionally grown and some that are organic within that donation.
Okay, and just briefly, can you talk about the relationship between Seed Savers Exchange and the Community Seed Network?
Yeah, so Keith touched on this a little bit, but the seeds of the Community Seed Network, so to speak, actually started, I think, in 2015 with a group of seed librarians who felt like there should be a central place to have all of these resources. And that group actually reached out to Seed Savers, I think, in 2016 and asked us to sponsor this program. And when we took it on with, as Keith said, it was USC Canada at the time. They've since changed their name to Seed Change. So Seed Change of Canada is our partner organization in this Community Seed Network. And we work with advisory council members like Keith across the US and Canada to help us connect to different parts of the seed world and hear, what kind of resources might be missing from the site. My job is to facilitate that. I kind of helped, create the site and figure out what resources should be on there. And at this point, just hearing back from people to keep improving that site. So yeah, jointly with USC Canada, we're kind of maintaining the site and the program.
Well, thank you. It's a wonderful program. I've been watching this since it started as a community resource network, and I've watched it progress to where it is today. So this is really good. And one more quick question. You provided a link for exchange.seedsavers.org. I want to share that with the folks. Just if you can tell us what that's all about.
Yeah, I think I provided that link to you maybe before we had narrowed the scope of the a little bit. So that's another program that Seed Savers does. It's a garden-to-garden seed swap. And so it's another way to connect to other gardeners and other growers. And what you can do there is search for any specific variety of seed. You can also list your own seeds. So again, it's a gardener to gardener seed swap where you can list seeds and ask for seeds from other people. Can I also mention one other thing about the Community Seed Network?
Sure.
One of my favorite parts of it, I saw someone put in the comments to check to see if there's already a seed library in your area when kind of doing that research. There is a map on the Community Seed Network site. And I would encourage anyone who's starting a seed library or who is, you know, doing any kind of seed work to both put yourself on the map and to look at the map to see who else to connect to. In fact, you could, there are like filters on there. You could filter for someone who's offering mentorship and starting a seed library and find people who are willing to kind of help you through that process.
Okay, well, thank you. We appreciate that. And I'm going to bring Bevan on now, and we'll bring you back for a discussion at the end. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate your contribution today.
Absolutely.
Joining us. Hey, Bevan.
Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Good. So welcome. And okay, for you, we're going to talk about, organizing and setting up a seed library. And the first thing I want to start with is about, I recently had a question from someone who contacted me through my website about whether or not seed libraries are legal. So if you can please talk a little bit about that, that would be great.
Oh, sure. That's a great question, Jeff. So in 2016, the American Association of Seed Control Officials, they adopted an amendment which essentially makes seed libraries exempt from the state laws, specifically around commercial seed exchange. Since that happened, 26 states have officially ratified that amendment and added that to their state law, thus protecting seed libraries. The additional states, the other half of the country, looks to this amendment as a guide, essentially, as they design their laws and how they choose to enforce them. So short answer, yes, but there's two key components to ensure that a seed library is on the up and up legally. And one is that the seeds cannot be for sale. The seeds have to be given away for free. And it can't be in exchange not only monetarily, but for any requirement. That's very important. Although with seed libraries, obviously we encourage everyone that participates to bring seeds back. We can encourage them to do so, but we cannot make it a requirement. There can be no required exchange for those seeds that we give away. The other aspect that's important is labeling. Labeling is important. Now, we don't have to have germination rates or anything like commercial seed companies do, but to stay legal, it's required to have the name, the scientific name, the Latin binomial, the date of harvest, the source of the seeds, as well as the address of the seed library when they exchange. All that information needs to be on that packet in order for it to fit this exemption. But aside from those two things, yes, absolutely, exchange seeds as often as you can.
Okay, so is there, the law that you mentioned, is that on a specific website, or is there a specific link that someone can look for?
Oh, sure. I would simply just Google the American Association of Seed Control Officials. That would take us to the AASCO, I guess. And that would take us to the law.
All right, thank you. Okay, so now you've been involved with set up over 100 seed libraries in the work that you do. Can you please share some organizational best practices and tips for establishing a sound foundation for a new seed library?
I'm going to echo some of the things that Keith said earlier. One of the most important things when beginning to organize the plans for a seed library is the concept of building community around that seed library. The seed library, there's a lot that goes into making it operate successfully, from marketing and promoting that it exists, to packaging and labeling seeds, to collecting data, all of these sorts of things. So connecting with like-minded folks in the community is key. Your community gardeners, any seed savers that you may know, master gardeners are a wonderful resource. Master gardeners need to meet a certain number of volunteer hours every year to keep their master gardener status. So they're a wonderful resource for volunteers. And if you're going to visit your public library, your local library, to pitch them on this concept, having all these moving parts in place before you get there is really going to make your project seem a lot more appealing. There's a lot of information that you need to collect. I always recommend databasing. Not only do you want to collect information from the folks that check out the seeds, their contact information, so you can follow up with them for programming. I think programming is very important. I always say you should have a program at your seed library every month. This is a great way to stay engaged with the people that are borrowing the seeds, but also you could teach them about seed saving. You could teach them about planting, square foot gardening, natural pest control, preserving or preparing the harvest, whatever it may be, helping people use these tools to be successful with the things that they're growing. And a database is going to help you identify your community's needs. So that's very important. You need to understand what your community actually needs so you know what role your seed library is going to play. With a database, you can see with just in a couple years' time, what kind of seeds are people checking out? What kind of things are people in your community actually growing? And also, what kind of seeds are being brought back, right? Being able to see what seeds are coming back is very important. The greatest challenge that we see with our seed libraries is the return rate. On average, nationwide, it's about a 5% return rate, which, I mean, that's not sustainable by any means. Even with some work here in Michigan, some of our best performing libraries are only seeing a seed return rate of around 10%. The most successful seed libraries that I've worked with, what they figured out is the importance of developing relationships, not only with these communities that I just mentioned, but with the key players in the community that are already saving seeds, that have this space to grow stuff, that are excited and curious about how they can help out. Identifying these people is key. Now, we would love to just distribute seeds to everybody, and I recommend distribute seeds to everybody, but it's not realistic to expect everybody to return these seeds. I mean, maybe someday with some targeted education, we can get everybody saving their seeds and bringing them back. That's ideal, but it's not realistic at this point. So finding key players that are going to be able to produce local seed and bring them back is awesome. You know, like Janine mentioned, there's a lot of organizations, seed companies and such that'll donate every year because this is important work. But if we can get these local seeds from our communities circulating in a sustainable system, that's the best. That's absolutely the best. So I'm going to wrap it up, Jeff, by saying that I think I recommend all seed libraries focus on relationships, building that community.
True. That's very true. It's about relationships and it's about community. Okay. Thank you, Bevan. We'll bring you back shortly.
Thanks.
And bring Alphys in now. Alphys, are you out there? Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. Hi, welcome.
Yes, Jeff. How are you? Very much appreciate this opportunity for being here.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you. So I'm going to be running your slideshow for you.
Sure.
So let me get this up for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
Can
I'll be talking about the seed and seed situation in Kenya, more so putting in place the involvement of young people, youth, in the issue of seed saving, more so on the activism part of it. So one thing that keeps us going or keeps us bringing young people to this is just some slogan that we encourage them when we tell them that seed belongs to us. So our seed is our life, our seed is our future, our seed is our right. And our, you know, seed is everything. And, you know, sometimes everything that we have in place comes from the seed. And without seed, there's no life. I'll try to mention something small about the slow food network that we have. This is a vibrant network that we have all over Africa. And, you know, comes along from the slow food. It's an initiative from the slow food. And it brings together young people from all over the world to network in terms of the issue of food and food sovereignty. This group of people or young people, it also unites young people, chefs, students, food producers who participate in public debates all about current issues and introduce young people to the world of gastronomy. The Spin has different unique activities, groups that raise awareness all about important issues such as the issue of biodiversity conservation. We shall have an event organized each and every year in the month of April, all about the issue of food waste. And also, we also have some topics on sustainable way of food production. Talking about the issue of youth activism in biodiversity, more so in Africa, when you talk about youth involvement in agriculture, so many young people generally are not involved in this field of work simply because they have a perception that agriculture is a job for all people. Agriculture is a job for people who have not gone to school. Agriculture is not paying. So they have that idea and such information in mind. So it's limiting them also to participate in the issue of like food production. But with the SFIN network, we are also trying to bring them on limelight, where we try to train them and encourage them to participate in the issue of food production, more so in a more sustainable way. We have different ways we carry out activities in terms of targeting different people, more so young people. So sometimes we organize some campaigns, like we have sessions on different radio stations, like we go to different local stations and we try to educate listeners, more so targeting youth. Because, when you talk of technology, so many people are involved in technology in terms of Africa or Kenya, they're young people. So as one way of passing information to different people, we try to use local radio station, where we go to radio to train people the issue of why they should save seed. We organize training on how like farmers can select and save seed from farm level. So we use different radio stations. And as part of our work as SFIN Kenya, we also organize some training and capacity building session. Like last year, we had a Slow Food Youth Network Kenya Academy. This academy brought together so many young people from all over Kenya, and some came all the way from Tanzania. And such academy, when young people come together, we were able to train them on the issue of why they should be participating in biodiversity conservation, and we took them all along the issue of seed banking. So we usually organize some trainings and capacity building session. As a part of enhancing our work in the issue of seed and seed saving, we usually also organize local seed and food fair. And during this forum, so many people come around. More so, our idea, we are targeting youth, young farmers, and during such forum, we shall also invite school-going pupils, children, students who come along and learn on different diversity of crops that farmers are growing in different areas. We also organize, like in Kenya, we have an organized SFIN network that is working in different parts of the country. So with this SFIN network, they are located in different parts of this country, we usually organize some trainings all about the issue of biodiversity conservation, and this done through seed saving. Having done that, Jeff, as part of our work, there are some things that we feel that when they are done, we shall be able to strengthen the seed and food sovereignty more so. One thing we are thinking of is more trainings, more capacity building, more exchange programs remain fundamental in empowering and motivating young people in agriculture, because when they go somewhere and get to learn from other people, get to learn what's happening with the other group that is has done it successfully, they ought to believe and put the same practice in place. Like the idea of seed library, we have brought in that we train a group on the how they can save seed, and after they have saved that seed, we bring in now the seed libraries. And the way we operate seed library in Kenya is that a member of a group volunteers for a space where other group members can sow their seed. Previously, farmers have been saving seed, but they are saving them at home, and sometimes there's no food because of hunger. So it reaches a place where they even eat seed. So as a way of avoiding that and making farmer risk more, we introduced the seed libraries, and these seed libraries we are targeting to be operated by young people. And the operation of these seed libraries will be at community level, where they'll be custodians of seed at community level, and they will be able like to be selling, exchanging, and giving out seed as loan to other members. So as one way of strengthening this, I know the issue of seed libraries that are being operated by young people can be a way of like conserving the great diversity that we have lost. As one way of also strengthening our work, we also that the formation of movement or advocacy team led by young people, you know, and also you can incorporate old people because of the issue of sharing indigenous knowledge can be a way of like sustaining this work of seed saving. Jeff, before I finish, I will say, you know, young people or the youth are the future of food, and we are giants, youth are giants, but there are millions, the multinational, and we believe we are the change that you want to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elvis. We're running a little bit short on time, but thank you for your presentation, and what you said about the youth is a really good point. I know we've discussed in some way about how we can activate the youth as a means for being seed advocates. You know, a lot of youth activism is centered on climate, and I think that there's a real good space that we could work together to share the value of seeds as an example to the people in your country that you were saying that the youth there, that they don't see the value of being a farmer and of seeds. So this is a conversation that will continue, and thank you. I'm going to bring Melissa in right now. And Elvis, if you can leave, we'll bring you back in a few minutes. Thank you. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, hello.
So, so you're going to talk to us about this wonderful program that you have going on in South Africa about, you know, seed presidium and the rainbow maize.
Yeah, sure. So shall I share my screen? Start by
Yes,
sharing the
please.
screen. Okay. Let's see if I can make this work. Oh, yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Okay,
I'll try not to take too long, but I'll try my best. Just to give you a bit of background, I think I need to give you a bit of African maize seed, rainbow maize seed history first. So maize arrived in Africa about 500 years ago during the Columbian Exchange from the motherland, Turtle Island, Mexico, Brazil. We're not quite sure exactly where, but it would have been all these beautiful multicolored maize that were grown in that part of the world. It was accepted, or it was taken on by African farmers very enthusiastically because it adapted very easily to African climates. It fitted in very well with the complex agroecological cultural farming systems, where it was grown as a fresh food vegetable crop. And anyway, so it was pretty much entrenched in African culture at the time. Fast forward 400 years to the early 20th century, when gold was discovered near what is now known as Johannesburg, the biggest city, one of the biggest cities in Africa. So it was founded on gold. People left their farms in rural areas to come and work as migrant laborers on the gold mines. They left their farms behind, they left their seeds behind, they left their families behind, they left their knowledge behind. They weren't allowed to farm when they came to work as miners. And it was also a perfect opportunity for the captains of the agricultural industry at the time to breed or introduce commercial maize varieties, which would, I think the Hickory King white dent maize was one of the progenitors of the commercial maize that is now grown today in South Africa, 80% of which is actually GMO. And white and yellow maize is the only known maize in Southern Africa now, except for a few sort of deep rural areas. So let me just try and move on quickly. So let's fast forward to now, 100 years, maybe 5 years ago. Grew up in the region where rainbow maize was originally grown, or one of the regions. 20 years ago, I moved to Johannesburg. 5 years ago, a friend of mine knew I was homesick for my homeland, and she sent me, knowing I was a seed saver, she sent me some seeds from some farmers in a region where she also grew up. I planted these seeds. They were a bit of a strange color. I couldn't work out why. And then, yeah, this was my first harvest, starting so from 100 seeds. The quality wasn't great, but they were incredibly beautiful, and I was blown away by these multicolored maize varieties. I'd never seen them before. So anyway, with my work on the Ark of Taste, I was invited by a friend of mine who talked about Ark of Taste endangered foods, which is a slow food project, because I'd been researching African endangered foods for the Ark of Taste. He runs a farmer school in Soweto, run by the University of Johannesburg, small farmers network, meeting once a month. I couldn't help but put a picture of Carlo Petrini in there because he came to visit us once. I came to talk about the rainbow maize and various other endangered foods, and people were just terribly excited. People were beside themselves with excitement. You could see there was this cultural memory that was coming back. And these were the first sort of flickers, a new community being formed out of people's sort of cultural memory, genetic memory, whatever you want to call it. So people just took the seeds. I handed them out. I just gave them away, and that was that. A year or two later, no, it was about a year later, after the first planting seed, several farmers phoned me, said, come to farmer school, come and see the rainbow maize. So I arrived, and there were these amazing, beautiful cobs presented to me. And it was incredible to see how this seed community of rainbow maize reviving traditional foods just erupted or exploded. I don't know how else to describe it. But I just wanted to share with you, this project's not just about me, and I just want to show you some of the key personalities and people who have got this community going and who form the core of it. Some very strong people. Sister Sibongele, she's a seed activist. She mentors farmers who are growing indigenous seeds for the first time. She donates seeds out of her own seed library. She's very politically connected, so it's useful to have someone like that involved in your project. She's a real, what we call seed sister, and we're all seed sisters, particularly the ladies in this group. Anyway. Then there's Mr. Seed, Tim Abba. He's an agroecologist, Zimbabwean immigrant to South Africa. He took on growing seeds. He's also a teacher, so he's been teaching kids how to grow their own food, traditional foods particularly. And yeah, he's quite a celebrity in his community, and he's known as Mr. Seed because he's the only person there who's actually growing food for seed. On the right is these rainbow maize. He set himself a challenge of growing four cobs per plant. I told him he couldn't do it because the rest of us are growing 2 cobs per plant. He beat us to it. So he's the overachieving Mr. Seed farmer, fantastic guy. And then there's Uncle Wiz, Nigerian diaspora. He immigrated to South Africa maybe 15 years ago. He took some rainbow maize seed. He's a beautiful crop. He's an excellent farmer. He connected with the maize because this is the kind of maize he grew up in Nigeria. He he plants in the sort of traditional Nigerian way, which is similar to the farming methodologies as you guys would know it in the US. He plants beans, climbing the maize, Malawian butternut and other cucurbits and pumpkins. And then he interplants with okra and sells the okra to African diaspora from Central Africa. And then this is Mama Tembi. She's a peri-urban farmer, so she's got a small farm near the city of Johannesburg. She's a brilliant farmer. So this is she's also one of the key farmers in this project. So, and then on the right, there's that I want you to introduce you to Yara Lee, that's the filmmaker. She's the director, if that's the right description, of the Cultures of Resistance movement, which is the sponsors of this event. So please go and look at their booth later on. So anyway, we also built a relationship with Slow Food. And this is sort of the program that we've been involved with Slow Food. Basically what it is, they've recognized the rainbow maize as an Ark of Taste product. You can Google more about the Ark of Taste on the Slow Food Foundation for Biodiversity website. The Slow Food Presidium is a project that's kind of falls under the wing of the Ark of Taste or the wing of the Slow Food Foundation for Biodiversity. Effectively, it's basically a project that recognizes a group of core farmers, which are some of the farmers I've just introduced you to, who are the key farmers who are the custodians of reviving this particular variety of maize. And they the sort of key experts in traditional, one of the few experts in traditional maize seed saving in the country. Our relationship with Slow Food through this Presidium project, we've got a lot of recognition internationally. They help us with our networking, publicity. They've donated promotional material to us. We've given practice guidelines on which we are building our revival of and new seed saving protocols that are in line with community methods of seed saving. And then the challenges we're facing at the moment are very, very are great. But some of the things we're looking to do in the near and advancing our seed communities, seed saving, creating libraries, farmer training, reviving traditional farming methods, finding the right market or customers who understand that maize isn't all just yellow sweet corn cobs that are all the same size and wrapped in plastic, that you can get maize that's multicolored, no two crops are the same, or no two seasons are the same, no two cobs are the same, that kind of thing. It's hard convincing people of this, creating income and self-empowerment from these traditional crops. And then obviously the GMO contamination risks that we've got to mitigate against. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. So fire away, Jeff, if you have any questions.
Okay, unfortunately, we're running quickly out of time. So if I'd like to invite the other panelists back real quick to just wrap this up real quick. And,
okay.
I think we covered a lot of ground in a short period of time. And okay, so we have 4 minutes left. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us today to talk about community seed saving. There's questions in the chat that I'm not sure we're going to have enough time to get to because we're down to 3 minutes. But okay, so if there's questions in the chat, I'm going to put my, this is my email address. If you have any questions, please contact me and I can get in touch with anyone who is on this panel to address the questions as needed. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to thank the listeners or the people who are attending for joining us. And we have a couple more. That is, okay, hold on. Thanks, Allison. We have two more sessions today, Seeds in School, and then we have a great program that is new to Slow Food. It's called Share a Seed. That starts at 4:15. If you have some seed and you'd like to participate in that, please join us. And once again, I want to thank everyone for being here. Real quick, anyone want to add any last words of wisdom?
Okay, I know. I just want to give a shout out to Seed Savers Exchange. This has been my Bible for the last 15, 20 years. So the connection started nearly 20 years ago with you guys anyway. But this has been my go-to and my friends and colleagues for learning how to, the science and the art of saving seeds, particularly with maize. So thank you.
Lovely.
All righty. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll see you in Seeds in Schools.
See you
Thank you.
later. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.